Now 7:01, and I am reconvening to open session and calling to order the regular Board of Education meeting for Indian Prairie School District 204 on Monday, September 25th, 2023. Michelle, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Donahue?
Here.
Ms. Jane?
Here.
Ms. Deming? Mr. Rising?
Here.
Mr. Karubas?
Here.
Ms. Fosdick?
Here.
And Ms. Gintz.
We have a quorum. Ms. Fosdick, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have one board salute. Mr. Karubas.
2024 National Merit Semifinalist announced. The National Merit Scholarship Corporation announced 44 District 204 students have been identified as semifinalists in the 69th Annual National Merit Scholarship Program. Matei Valley had 11 students, Neuqua Valley had 24 students, and Waubonsie Valley had 9 students identified as semifinalists. These academically talented high school seniors have an opportunity to continue in the competition for more than 7,140 National Merit Scholarships worth more than $28 million. That will be offered next spring. Merit scholars are selected based on their skills, accomplishments, and potential for success in rigorous college studies. Congratulations to all these students and good luck as the scholarship competition moves forward.
All right, next we have a student report from Kaylin McGee from Neuqua Valley High School. Caitlin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kaylin McGee, and I am the representative for Neuqua Valley High School. I am excited to share with you what Neuqua has been up to. NV is excited to announce a new Assistant Activity Director, Ms. Margarita Altitas. She has transformed the Neuqua Activities website and created an Instagram, reaching today's generation directly. She has made a world of difference in streamlining our activities program. We have 22 applications for new clubs. We are encouraging students to follow their passions in every field. Neuqua is also opening The Hub. This will be held in the LMC on every other Wednesday, and Ms. Altitas will come to supervise for the club's meetings who don't have sponsors or a space to meet. This is going to be a community space where emerging activities can grow and additional opportunities for leadership can be found. Academically, access has started back up. We are hoping to grow the number of students taking advantage of it and are eagerly encouraging self-advocacy. Looking forward, Career Orientation Day will be held on the 11th of October at the Burkett Freshman Center. Juniors have the NMSQT PSAT coming, which will be the first digital SAT in the district. We are having it as a PSAT to allow students to hone their academic skills in the appropriate format prior to taking the test. With homecoming week having come and gone, Neuqua events such as NV Olympics were a hit, and over 200 students participated in Neuqua Knows It Can Dance. Wrapping up a great week, the homecoming dance had over 2,500 attendees. Over summer break, 12 students embarked on our world language trip to France, Switzerland, Germany, among other parts of Europe. The Wildcat Wagon is up and running, visiting elementary schools over the summer and developing connections with the community. It also made a guest appearance during HOCO Week to distribute over 900 frosty treats for students. The new teacher induction continues as we welcome a number of new staff members and over 100 students. The Spell of Sleeping Beauty's children's show is ready to bewitch everyone on the 29th of September at 4:30 p.m. and the 30th at 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. And girls golf are our DVC champions. Finally, one of the tools that makes all of these successes possible is Remind. Remind is the communication app that 95% of our activities and athletic teams actively rely on for timely communication. Remind has recently become limited. inhibiting our ability to inform students about opportunities for engagement. Students also use this tool to safely communicate with staff members when they are off campus. In the absence of reminds, students and extracurricular sponsors are concerned and continue to advocate for the reinstatement of unlimited access to this app. Thank you for listening, and for the first of many, go Wildcats.
Thank you. It is now time for public comment, and 60 minutes is allowed. Each person is limited to 3 minutes. When addressing the board, we ask that you respect the confidentiality and safety of our students and school district personnel. We also ask that those addressing the board be cognizant that this is an open meeting and is available to all age groups, and as such, ask that you consider who the audience members are this evening and keep comments age appropriate. Public comment represents the voice and opinion of the speaker. There will be no feedback from the board members during the meeting, but follow-up will be provided by an administrator as appropriate. Although this is not required, it is helpful for the board to know whether the comments and concerns we hear are being raised by residents. So we ask that you state if you live in the district and if you currently have children in our schools. Tonight we have 3 speakers. The first is Christina Garcia.
Hi, my name is Christina Garcia. I'm a longtime resident since 2007. I have a freshman at Waubonsie Valley High School and a 5th grader at Gombert. Today I'm here to talk about transparency and equity. My community was rebounded into a middle school that was not performing as well as the one that my oldest attended. My youngest will not be bused into this new middle school, and it's a safety hazard. In the last meeting, Ron said that there was 3 areas this coming school year that Waubonsie Valley High School is being reviewed. I'd like Ron to be transparent and put what 3 areas that he's reviewing. We would like to know, as parents in our community, what areas he's reviewing. My last comment, again, is transparency. You see, my freshman, as an 8th grader, did his schedule with his counselor, and I was blown away in September when I was asked to the tune of $108 for regular band. I asked where this was published to Waubonsie. They said the district. I asked the district said it's just starred in our course curriculum catalog. There are no fees published. There's none on your website. 203 has all of their fees published. I think it's only right when you guys are always talking about the budget for all of us parents as we try to budget that core curriculum classes and elective classes that you publish each year the fees that we could possibly have to take on as a parent every year as a parent. So I really believe that, ISBE also believes that you guys should publish the fees that parents could have to take on. 203 also publishes their activity fees as well. So I would like to see 204 do that. And I did make that recommendation, but unfortunately it fell on deaf ears. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next speaker is Veronica Andrade.
Good evening. My name is Veronica Andrade, and I have 3 children that attend Gombert Elementary School. You can ask any parent what they want for their child's school, and the answer would be the same, whether they're privileged or marginalized, homeowner or renter, longtime resident, or new to the area. If you ask a parent, they will say, I want my child to go to a good school. That is your #1 priority as a school board member and as an administrator, to make sure that every child in this district is able to attend a good school. But the board is not doing the job that parents have asked of you. 204 schools have great teachers, and they have a great community. But 4 204 schools are below the state average in state testing: Georgetown, Longwood, McCarty, and Fisher. This board created these conditions when they designed the boundaries that gave these schools and Gombert low-income populations way above the district average. Naperville 203 district has similar low income averages to 204, yet they do not have a single school that falls below the state average in state testing. They also do not have a single school that has low income populations doubled or tripled the district average. A family who moves into Naperville 203 can choose any home or apartment and know that their child will go to a good school. In 204, whether or not your child goes to a good school depends on their zip code. It is not a privilege that all students get to experience. NEQA's niche rating is built on these inequities because not a single one of the district's Title I schools feed into NEQA. 204 has 2 school-wide title schools with such a high percentage of low-income students that they receive special federal funding. Longwood, which feeds into Matea, and Georgetown, which feeds into Wabanzi. Naperville 203 does not have a single school-wide title school. They do not create schools with such high concentrations of low income. This administration and school board created these boundaries that produce these inequities. We want equity for Georgetown, Longwood, McCarty, Gombert, and Fisher schools. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Alicia Smith.
Hello, I'm Alicia Smith, former student, former teacher, and currently live in the district with loved ones at 204 schools. 204 is not being forthright with its community about its busing policy. On the website, you state that you provide transportation to students who live 1.5 miles or more from their school. In reality, you provide transportation to some students who live 1.5 miles or less from their school, while denying it to others who also live less than 1.5 miles from their school. Before the boundary changes went into effect last school year, many, but not all, high schoolers who had to cross a busy roadway received transportation. An exception to this was the neighborhood across 95th Street for Neuqua. The other exceptions were for Wabanzi and include the apartments and townhomes across Eola, the subdivision where McCarty is located, and the Georgetown subdivision that also crosses Ogden. The district was aware of these inequities. After the boundary changes, you created a transportation tool to let the community know if they were eligible for transportation. These inequities had to be programmed into the transportation tool. Last school year, the district started to inform some neighborhoods with middle and high school students that they would no longer be eligible for transportation. These neighborhoods included the Gombert neighborhoods that feed into Fisher, the White Eagle, Eagle Point neighborhoods that feed into Still, and the Stonebridge subdivision that feeds into Matea. Last school board meeting, you informed the public of your transportation update. Fisher and Still will not be evaluated until the 2025-2026 school year. So why did the neighborhoods lose their transportation eligibility before their school's transportation evaluation? Wabanzi and Neuqua are supposed to be evaluated this year. So why did Stonebridge Matea lose transportation eligibility before the rest of the high school level was evaluated? You call your plan the IDOT Serious Safety Hazards. Nowhere in the plan does it mention that updated transportation eligibility includes being more than 1.5 miles from your school. You also do not acknowledge that there are neighborhoods that are receiving busing, though they are less than 1.5 miles from their school. Your timeline for evaluation of the district schools goes into the 2027-2028 school year, long after the superintendent's contract expires and long after some board members retire or move on to other opportunities. 204 needs to acknowledge the inequities in your transportation plan, but currently your only plan is to perpetuate these inequities. Thank you.
Thank you. We now move to our consent agenda and superintendent report. We will start with the superintendent report. Dr. Talley.
Thank you, Ms. Donahue, members of the Board of Ed, and the Indian Prairie community. As I have mentioned before, we are in the process of completing our first comprehensive master facility plan. Working with White & Company, the district has done visits to each of our schools, talked with staff about the needs that are in the schools, and have done visits to other districts to show staff some ideas of what could happen. It is important to know that this facility plan will not only look at the schools, but athletic fields, playgrounds, and all parts of our school district footprint. We are now in the middle of having meetings with the community to discuss our facility plans. We held meetings in the Wabanzi cluster with meetings at Wabanzi Valley High School and Georgetown. We held our first meeting within the NEQA cluster with our meeting at NEQA. The second meeting will be held at Gregory this Wednesday night. And we held our first meeting in the Mattia cluster at Mattia last week, and the second meeting will be held at Hill Middle School next week. A completed plan will be presented to the Board of Ed in November. Thanks to the students, parents, and community members who showed up at the meetings we have held. Your input is important as we plan for the next 50 years. I remind all parents to consider joining your school's PTA. PTAs serve as a great partner with our schools in creating positive learning opportunities for our children. PTAs support our teachers as well as supporting our parents. And finally, please make sure that if your child needs his or her vaccination, that you ensure that they have their shots. We are required by state law to make sure all students have the required vaccinations. Please check with your school nurse if you have any questions. Back to you, Ms. Donahue.
All right, now we move to our consent agenda items. I need a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items D through I.
I move that the Board of Education approve consent agenda items D through I.
Any discussion? Michelle, will you call the roll?
Mr. Carubus?
Yes.
Ms. Deming? Mr. Rising?
Yes.
Ms. Donahue?
Aye.
Ms. Fosdick?
Yes.
And Ms. Jane?
Yes.
Motion passes. Now we have our action item. I need a motion and a second to approve the Altria settlement as presented.
I move that the Board of Education approve the Altria settlement as presented. I second.
Any discussion? Do you want to say, yeah?
This is the second settlement that we have with the companies that have been doing and part of the vaping. We had a settlement with Juul, and this is one settlement that was nationwide, and this Altria one is also a number of districts across the country were part of this, and this will be our settlement with that case as well.
All right. Michelle, will you please call the roll?
Ms. Fosdick?
Yes.
Ms. Jane?
Yes.
Mr. Carubus?
Yes.
Ms. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. Rising?
Yes.
And Ms. Deming?
Motion passes. All right, now we are just moving right along here tonight. Discussion, we will have a presentation from Trudy Branson on the Indian Prairie Education Foundation update. Is she here? Oh.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here again this evening. My name is Trudy Ranson, and I'm with the Indian Prairie Educational Foundation. Are my slides?
Is it loud enough? Oh.
Okay. As I said, my name is Trudy Ranson. I am the Executive Director for the Indian Prairie Educational Foundation. And tonight I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it is that the foundation has been doing over the last year and what we are planning to do this year in the new school year. First of all, I am proud and honored to be serving in my second year as Executive Director for Indian Prairie Educational Foundation, and we are delighted to renew our partnership with the Board of Education and IPSD 204. This is our 35th year here in the district, and we've come a long way since our founding in 1988, but our primary goal has remained the same. The foundation is here to create and support programs that enrich the lives of our students, staff, family, and community. We've proudly been doing that since 1988, and we have provided more than $5.2 million towards District 204 programming support. Here are some of the programs and enrichments that we are funding this year in the 23-24 school year. I would like to start, as always, with our Fine Arts Festival. This is our signature event with the foundation. It is part of the reason we came into being in '88, and we have been strong supporters of the fine arts. This year, on May the 18th, we will be celebrating our 36th annual Fine Arts Festival, and it is the largest event that District 204 puts on, and we have been proudly funding it for now 36 years. This festival takes place at all 3 high schools, and it features over 8,000 student musicians and over 12,000 pieces of student art from pre-K to 12th. It's an amazing event. Everyone should go. We are also supporting our holiday concerts at our high schools once again. Collage, Crystal, Prism. No matter which high school you're at, you're going to get a fantastic show. These kids do a seamless program for 90 minutes of entertainment, and it is free, once again, to our community. In the center, we have our social service programs, our Back on Track program, which is our mental health counseling program. IPEF sponsors this program for our at-risk youth. Last year, over 350 students in our district took advantage of this program at the middle school level. The beauty of this program is that we actually bring counselors into the schools. It gives every student the opportunity to take advantage of mental health counseling without having to worry about transportation and remove some of those barriers for our students who might not otherwise have access to this kind of mental health counseling. Our Valley Runway program, once again, we are providing opportunities for all students to take place in important rites of passage in high school, including prom. Over 60 students last year were aided by the Valley Runway program, and we want to make sure that all of our students here in District 204 have those opportunities. And finally, our Kid Essentials program, which aids our low-income and homeless students. We benefited over 4,500 students via the Kid Essentials program last year, spending in the last 5 years alone over $155,000 to support this program. There is a much greater need in District 204 than most people realize, and we are trying very hard to meet those needs and help all of our students succeed. Finally, on the far right, we have our STEM programs that IPEF is sponsoring this year, the robotics clubs, which are celebrating their 10th year here in District 204. IPEF raised the funding to pilot those programs 10 years ago, and they are still going strong. Demand definitely outstrips supply at our schools, but I can't tell you how exciting it is to see those kids problem solve, figure out how to code. It's amazing, and I would love for every student to have the opportunity to do that. Just got to get more funding. And then esports is entering its 3rd year. We started at the middle school, and this year we are hoping to expand it to the high schools. So looking forward to seeing our esports teams compete. Yet another way that we can bring STEM into our schools in a place where we meet our students where their interest is. We never forget our teachers and staff and strongly support them. This year, our Teacher Innovation Grants program is running strong. It is open right now. We are already getting all kinds of very interesting grant proposals. I love the creativity of our teachers and our staff. In 2022-23, IPEF awarded grants that impacted over 7,700 students in our district. And we hope to meet or surpass that. Since 1996, over $1.5 million has been awarded to our teachers and staff in the form of teacher grants. The Gifts of Gratitude is making its reprise role here in December and April. This is a wonderful little program that we love to feature at the holiday times and then again at the end of the school year, right before Teacher Appreciation. Gives all of our families and community members a chance to say thank you to our teachers, something that I think is so important for all of our wonderful teachers and staff. Over 700 teachers have been thanked through this program, and I'd love to see 700 more. The A+ program kicks off tomorrow publicly. We've been working very diligently behind the scenes on that one. I can't tell you where we're going because, of course, it's always a surprise. But the A+ award is fantastic because it recognizes an outstanding teacher who goes above and beyond for his or her students. And all of our nominations come from parents, students, or community members. The stories behind these are just amazing, and I can't wait to share tomorrow who our winner is for the month of September. So watch our social media. Right now, as you can see from all of the yellow shirts here on the board, we are knee-deep in Team IPEF season. This is our 10th anniversary as charity heroes running with the Naperville Healthy Driven race. And we are proud to say that this year Team IPEF has 294 team members. That is up from 228 last year. Every person up here is running for team or walking for Team IPEF this year. Hey, don't laugh, I walk too. It's totally legit. We all get across the finish line, and that is what is important. Our 294 team members are a wonderful combination of staff family, parents, community members, alumni, and students. We had a dramatic uptick in student participation this year because we managed to renegotiate our contract and get a much lower mandatory charity minimum for students. So it's wonderful to see all of these parents running with their kids and people running as family units for their favorite schools. I'd like to take a moment to thank our 10-year runners, Jason Stipp of Waubonsee Valley, Christine Black of Prairie Children Preschool, Dawn and John Malarczyk, who are parents over at Mattia Valley, Go Mustangs. Sorry, that's the team I'm running for. And Joanne Bristetta, who is over at Neuqua Valley High School. These amazing folks have run with Team IPEF every year, all 10 years that we've been in existence. There are a lot of ways that we can all support Team IPEF in 2023. We have Mattia Valley. Thank you, Coach Annarino and the cross-country team for managing an aid station. So when all of us get to that point and we need a cup of water, they are right there and they are cheering us on every step of the way. Speaking of cheering, we also are having spirit squads again this year. Love to see all of those students and community members out on the sidelines cheering, mascots, high-fived the Gombert Gator last year. It was awesome. And they support all of us as we run, and that also gives the schools an opportunity to raise just a little more prize money for their school. We as a community can donate to Team IPEF. 50% of the money that is raised by the runners and walkers of Team IPEF goes directly back to their schools in the form of a giant check and then a quiet electronic transfer into their accounts. But the check is awesome, and the spirit when we hand those out is fantastic. Over $1.1 million has been raised over the last 9 years by Team IPEF, and you start thinking about how much that is going back into our schools. It's a pretty amazing event. So please donate. please help us out with Team IPEF. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year. Please save the date on your calendar for our 3rd annual Inspire event. Inspire 24 will be March 8th, 2024. And I'd like you to note the change in location this year. We're going to be at the White Eagle Country Club, which is right in the heart of our district, and I'm really excited about this. It's a lovely space. And I've got a little picture there of some of our student musicians who make up some of the live entertainment at our event. There will be food, drinks, a wine pull, live entertainment from our students, and also a silent auction. So please save the date for that. A lot of parents ask me how they can help because the district is so large and we do so much for our students, but it's all made up of little donations, little volunteering, a little bit of everybody coming together to help make all of these amazing programs happen. So please donate to a Team IPEF member from your school, support your district. Honor a teacher or staff member, give them a gift of gratitude, nominate them for an A+ award. All of these things are important and help us come together as a community. Please join us at the Inspire 24 Gala event. Tickets will go on sale later this fall for that, so please be on the lookout. And finally, if you'd like any information about any of these programs, you can find it on our newly updated and improved IPEF website at ipef204.org. Thank you very much for having me again. I can't wait to put all of these programs into action this year and see how they turn out. And we are once again delighted to be able to partner with District 204 for our 35th year. Thank you.
Thank you, Trudy. I'm just going to open this up for any comments by anyone. Anyone want to say a few words?
I'll jump in. Great job, great presentation, great work. Obviously, IPF is near and dear to my heart. But I think one area that I'd like to hear a little bit more about is the support from corporations, businesses, partnerships with community, governmental organizations, and the parents, because you're doing a lot. You're donating, and there's a lot of activity. But that's not possible unless we have the support from the community. So just generally speak to kind of where some of the money comes from, where some of the partnerships, because I think that's important to say that like we're able to do these things and we're able to need support, but there's already many groups that are already doing it and have done it regularly. So please.
Yes, it's very true. We could never do any of this really without the support of our community and our businesses here in the community. The Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce and the Aurora Area Chamber of Commerce have been lovely helping us get the word out to all of the businesses. 204, as you know, is an enormous district. We have amazing sponsors for our larger events, Team IPEF, and also for the Inspire Gala. And we're looking for sponsors. I can make that little plug here, right? For our Inspire Gala. Many of our local businesses that work with the district also help sponsor us, folks like Organic Life, folks like First Student, folks like Aramark have been wonderful, but it's also the mom and pop businesses, right? It's Ackerman Insurance Agency, it's Fox Valley Orthopedics, it's your orthodontists, your bakeries, your doctors. It's all of those folks that come together that help build the community. And of course, IPEF does apply for many grants over the course of the year to help fund these programs as well. But I will have to say that although the support from our businesses has been amazing, the backbone of our donations is always going to be our parents and our community members. I believe last year, the statistic for parent and community donations what made up over 65% of our income. So we do actually rely a great deal, and the community has been incredibly supportive. We couldn't ask for a more supportive community.
Thank you.
I love just the things that you've highlighted, especially some of the programs that we do. Fantastic job and fantastic in seeing the numbers increase for IPEF this year. I wondered if you could share a little bit, you shared some of the programs and things, the major programs that we do. Can you talk a little bit, maybe a couple of the different grants that are applied for and that are received in order to reach other students in schools?
Absolutely. The Rotary Clubs of Naperville, Naperville Noon Rotary, Naperville Sunrise, they have been very generous in their grant funding. The city of Naperville helps us fund the SECA grant, the arts and education grants, to help us put on our annual Fine Arts Festival. We also receive social services grants from Naperville and Aurora. We have received grants from Will County, from various government agencies, from private businesses like International Paper. Every one of those helps a different one of these programs. They support us, they support the Fine Arts Festival, they support Kid Essentials. And we also, not just grants, but just out and out, straight up donations from people like the Warrenville Fire Department, the Women's Club of Naperville. We get donations of all shapes and sizes. The VFW just gave us a generous donation last week. We are incredibly fortunate that we can have that balance between grants and private donations, corporate donations, and parent donations to help us provide these programs.
Thank you. Looking forward to October and seeing a great number of people come out.
A sea of yellow in our
Nice job.
October the 22nd.
Any other comments? Well, I would just like to thank you, Trudy. I know you have a big job with IPEF, and that it's, as you can see, it's an widely impacting group. It touches so many of our teachers, our staff, our students, our families in our district. And I agree that we have a very generous community and parents, but we need more. And I think I joked about this last year, but like when you said the number of people that come to the Fine Arts Festival, if each one of them just gave $5, it would be phenomenal for our IPEF. So, you know, people need to consider how wonderful these programs are in our district and continue to think about providing additional funding. And this is the greatest source that you could put your money in. So thank you.
I agree. We had over 34,000 people attend the Fine Arts Festival last year. That is a tremendous amount of our community. It is always free to the public, but yeah, $5 a person would certainly go a long way.
Just like for happiness, I'm happy my kid's here, I'll give $5, whatever.
Everybody walks out of there smiling.
Yeah,
It's
I mean, we're such a
fantastic
huge
event.
district. It's like just a small amount from each person would make a huge difference in the programming that can be offered or grown within this organization. But you've done tremendous work and tremendous programs for our, and many people don't understand the IPEF is behind them. Like the robotics has a huge audience too. And really it's important that more people understand that IPEF helps make those happen. So
I would ask if Allison would like to make any comment.
Sorry, President Donahue, I was about to jump in and I was too slow. But I really just wanted to say thank you for that. Thank you for the reminder that we live in a community that invests in itself and we invest in each other. And that's one of my favorite parts about this presentation, is the positivity behind it, and we need reminders of that. And I feel like IPEF is like a perfect symbol of the positivity and the hope and the investment in our community and our students and our teachers and our schools, and just in the community in general. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. It's one of my favorite parts of this job is that I get to meet so many incredibly generous people who want to take what is a very good school district and make it an even better school district by investing their time and their money into an independent 501c3 that just quietly motors along and does all of these wonderful things. So yes, maybe we need to be a little louder about what we do, but we do so much in this district. I honestly feel that there is not a child who graduates from this district that is not touched in some way by an IPEF program.
Yeah.
President.
Did you have something else? Beth? Go ahead.
I wondered if any of our students had
Oh.
had a question?
Do any of our students have a question?
I think we're good for this presentation, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that was a wonderful way of closing this discussion, so thank you so much, Trudy.
Thank you.
All right, now we will have a presentation from Ms. Carrie Beth Harry regarding annual hiring report update.
Good evening, President Donahue, board members, and Dr. Talley. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight our annual hiring report. This directly relates to board policies and strategic plan priority 2, objective 3. My name is Carrie Beth Harry, and I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer. Here with me tonight is Sharon Ruff, the HR Director. Tonight we will present several topics. They include highlights of the start of the year, most recent staffing activity, retention, an update on the Grow Your Own Teacher program, challenges and opportunities in our field, an update on the teacher workforce in the state and our district, recruitment strategies, and our future focus. We'll also present evidence of our success towards our strategic plan objectives. We start with a celebration of recognition. We're very proud of the service of our staff and recognized 477 individuals this year. We formally recognized teaching staff for 20, 25, and 30 years of service during Institute Day on August 22nd. We formally recognized support staff for 20, 25, 30, and 35 years of service during their respective professional learning days on August 1st and August 23rd. This was the first year that we were able to recognize those staff with their peers. We'd also like to celebrate the high retention rate we have for our total staff. Gains in retention after the challenging years during the pandemic are a testament to our work. This table represents all job categories, and as you can see, our retention rate is 94.1%. When we look at our licensed staff only, we see strong evidence of our teachers' commitment and loyalty to the district. We understand that there are several reasons that staff decide to pursue employment elsewhere, but we also know that establishing a solid relationship at the time of hire improves retention, therefore reducing the costs associated with recruitment and hiring. Our teacher retention rate of 94.6% compared to the state average of 87.6% is a source of pride for us. We have retained 98% of our excellent rated teachers and continue to meet our board goal in retention. This explains why we have again been named by Forbes magazine as a best employer in Illinois. We ranked 34th and were the only school district listed in the top 50. The list is divided into 51 rankings, one for each of the 50 states plus the District of Columbia, and was compiled by surveying 80,000 Americans working for businesses with at least 500 employees. Surveys were conducted on a rolling basis from October to May, and responses regarding the same employers were compared throughout the process. We expect turnover, and we do our best to limit it. The exit survey is a tool to help us understand what we can do better. It's offered during our offboarding process, and this slide represents the top reasons for staff exits. Respondents could identify multiple reasons in this question, and we do notice that there's a bit of a yo-yo between career advancement and personal health reasons over the last couple of years. As a reminder, these percentages are totals of all the respondents and all types of positions. We're proud that 78.1% of all respondents would recommend IPSD 204 as a place to work. We continue to build value in our exit survey and will do more to encourage participation. Elementary teachers continue to be our highest participants, but all who responded provided valuable feedback. We're very excited to report that we started the school year with highly qualified staff in our classrooms, administrators leading with purpose, and support staff equipped with training and the tools to ensure student success. The HR team is proud to have contributed to this accomplishment and looks forward to how our work will be more visible in schools again this year. I'd like to take the time now to present to you our data, our hiring data. This slide represents our total staff by FTE and percentage. Our report to you primarily focuses on our teaching staff, as that is our largest group. That's represented by the 66% in this graph, the 2,111 FTE. This chart also identifies that 25% of our staff is support staff. That's the 817.2 FTE. 6% is non-bargaining staff. That's the 189.3 FTE. And 3% is administration, the 87 FTE. This chart includes current unfilled positions, of which 8.5 is licensed and 83.4 are non-bargaining and classified. These are mainly teaching assistant openings. Our support staff includes all of our IPCA positions, and our non-bargaining staff includes occupational therapists, physical therapists, registered nurses, and staff on our technology, business, and HR teams. Our total FTE has increased by 32.9 FTE from the 22-23 school year. This increase in our licensed staff addresses student need in areas of behavior and mental health, early childhood intervention at both the preschool and K2 classrooms, and in reading improvement. We also saw increases in special education needs, so we addressed that with additional support services. We projected growth in our budget and were able to use state and federal grant monies to support additional positions. These included 2 positive engagement and student support coaches, a STEM integration specialist, 11.5 FTE in grades K through 3 and reading improvement positions. We added 2.0 FTE at early childhood, an additional FTE in social work, speech and language pathologists, and special education teaching at both the middle and high school levels. We added a second bilingual parent coordinator to support the growth of migrant activity and needs. We added 5 behavior support assistants to mitigate and redirect behaviors, and additional self-contained teaching assistants to support growth in the programs at the secondary level. We did not add any administrative positions, however. We're very excited to welcome 18 individuals into new administrative roles. This year, we hired 148.8 FTE in teaching staff for our district. Some of the highlights in this slide show that nearly 60% of the 22-23 new hire class is at the elementary level. Approximately half have 3 or years less experience, and more than 54% of this recruitment class have an advanced degree. That's at least a master's degree. We'd like to thank the following teams for a successful onboarding of this class: the professional learning, curriculum and instruction teams, technology, special education, benefits, and the IPEA and IPCA unions. It would not have been possible without their collaboration. We'd also like to welcome back our 204 graduates. These 25 join a cohort of over 200 current 204 alumni and our staff who are actively engaged in supporting our growth of the Grow Your Own Teacher program. This year sees an increase of 8 over last year's 17 GYOT alum. I'd like to give a quick shout out to the 25 individuals that are returning to District 204. Amal Ayed, Jessica Bartos, Madeline Bloomquist, Christine Bussey Carson, Kaylee Serco, Clara Davidson, Christy Diamond, Samantha Faddis, Danielle Havlick, Elizabeth Horvat, Chelsea Kine, Laura Kluge, Emma Kowalski, Christina Lees, Ariel McWillie, Elizabeth Myers, Valerie Myers, LaQuinta Montgomery, Delaney Osterreich, Allison Roche, Abigail Schiestel, Sophia Sinise, Haley Sippel-Kinzer, Alexi Wagner, and Rochelle Walnick. Welcome back. Our committees are busy ensuring a successful GYOT program. We're in our third full year and the final year of our grant. We've established sustainable practices and carefully budgeted as part of our recruitment plan to be able to maintain this program after the grant is exhausted. In this slide, you can see how our team is split up. We have a guiding leadership team that is basically district and building administrators. We have high school program coordinators at each of our high schools that oversee the high school Grow Your Own program, middle school advisors that support the after-school club, and a committee that explores group work at the elementary level, and then connections with our alumni. So once they've left and gone off to college, to keep in touch with them so that we can bring them back. At the elementary level, through the RIASEC World of Work program, we're introducing teaching as a profession to our elementary students. They were also a destination spot for our middle school Teachers of Tomorrow Read Aloud programs and our high school observations. At the middle school, our Teachers of Tomorrow After School Club continues to thrive. We had close to 100 participants and were able to provide opportunities to learn more about what a teacher does in and out of the classroom, to hear from all types of education professionals, and to visit the high schools that they'll be attending to get exposure to the high school Grow Your Own Teacher cohort. We can tell you all the great things that are happening at this level, but our students say it best, so I'd like to share with you a quick video.
graduated from Neco Valley. I work at Skeleton Middle School, and I came back to 204 because of the experiences I had as a student, and I wanted to provide those same opportunities and experiences for my own students.
I've always kind of known I wanted to be a teacher, and then I found out that this was a thing, and I just thought I would join to get more experience about it.
My experience is really fun. I look forward to it every time we have our club meetings, and I love just being able to have the inside scoop and everything there is to being a teacher.
What I enjoy is helping other people, so if someone wants to help others or help a teacher, this would be a really good club for them.
I think it's just amazing to see how much time they take to educate our generation.
And it's also surprising how much they like working hard because they just do it for the kids instead of themselves.
In the club, we learn more problem solving. If something went wrong in the classroom, we know how to fix it.
It's really interactive, and you get to do a lot of fun things, like how we got to go on field trips to other schools and got to view other teachers working and teaching.
I immediately learned that there are many good ways that I can connect with a person to make them feel comfortable and to understand how other people are feeling, and I can do something about that now as a leader.
It's helping me be more flexible and understand other people more, and it's giving me a head start early instead of learning in college or something.
It's helping me decide if I want to be a teacher or not, and it's helping me choose a career for my future. You can still participate in really awesome things, and you can still learn valuable skills from it.
Even if you're not sure about being a teacher or want to even, it's just a really good way to work with kids.
Go for it. If there's anything you want to achieve in life as a teacher, any job career, just go for it.
I really want to be a teacher now. This is cool, this is fun. I really enjoy doing it.
They really do say it best. At the high school, we had over 100 students participate in that program. They had the opportunity to participate in 4 full-day-long teacher observations, 1 at each level, and then 1 of their choice. After each observation, students were given the opportunity to reflect and collaborate with their peers. This type of experience at their age isn't available in other types of careers, and for some, solidified their career choice. We've heard numerous stories about additional opportunities that this experience has created for our high schoolers, such as tutoring and mentorship. This past year, we also got to celebrate our graduating seniors with a signing event in which those who were continuing on into an education program went through the celebration with us at the board meeting. This level of commitment, focus, and exposure is intentional and necessary. Not only are we experiencing shortages, but the nationwide shortage continues to impact the pipeline. Our GYOT program is so important because we have unfilled positions, and we feel that our intentional exposure of these areas to our middle school and high school students will help us in the long run. These positions listed on the slide here continue to be hard to fill because of a decreasing candidate pool to draw from. This, however, like I said, is not a challenge that is unique to District 204. In the past, we warned that the storm is coming. The storm is now overhead. We have 104 teachers in the retirement pipeline, and in some cases, especially in the mental health area, a pipeline that could take up to 7 years to replenish. Experts suggest that nationwide it would take 77,000 more school counselors, 63,000 more school psychologists, and tens of thousands of school social workers to reach levels recommended by professional groups before the pandemic. Further, districts need to be considering a building out of a program or a more expansive approach that uses the skills and training of a wide variety of people already in their buildings. Mental health first aid is a model of that program. Teachers who feel supported, trained, and with career advancement opportunities stay. Strong teacher programs that provide diverse learning experiences set teachers up for success. We're lucky to have established relationships with several universities that produce excellent teachers, and that also starts with our own GYOT program. We've shared the data on this slide for several years, and the outlook continues to be distressing. We share it to provide a context for the significant stress that the shortage has put on districts across the state. This is, just as a reminder, this is a reflection of the total number of positions unfilled across the state and for all districts. Most recent Title II data on teacher preparation enrollment in Illinois and Illinois teaching positions shows that there are 130,000 teachers in the state as of 2020-2021. This is based on the school report card data. This chart also shows that a cohort of just over 5,000 students are completing a program. It's not a pool that can sustain a teaching pool of 130,000. The report does not include the level or type of educational licensure or endorsement program that students are enrolled in, so we can't tell you exactly what programs they're in. But it does show us that although we are rebounding and have more students enroll, those who are completing are staying pretty flat. It's about 25% of the program is actually completing the program. This slide represents a demographic breakout of those who are enrolled in the program. We are seeing increases in program diversity, and this is reflected in the Hispanic and African American or Black students. We take these challenges, so the last few slides, and turn them into opportunities. We've shown evidence of what we're doing to prepare, and I'll provide more examples of how we're attempting to be as proactive as possible. I'll use this moment to reiterate what is obvious on the slide. We are hiring, but we will use every opportunity to advertise for positions, including this one. And we encourage anyone watching who may be interested in a position in the district to reach out to our team at hr@ipsd.org. When we talk about being more reflective in our teaching staff of our students, here's a snapshot of students and teachers in our district with comparative data from local districts and the state in aggregate. Looking at one area of diversity by race and culture, you can see illustrated here that our students of color make up 60% of our district. This is a stark contrast to our teacher workforce of about 12%. We continue to make strides in increasing our diversity and again achieve double-digit growth in the percentage of hires of staff of color this year. The district takes pride in the work that we've done to recruit and retain teachers of color. While diversity in our workforce is not limited to race and ethnicity, we identify it for comparative purposes because we're using our student data to do that. As this slide shows, 13.4% of our new hire class were teachers of color. This continues to be a double-digit growth trend. We retain 12.1% of our teachers of color, and we'd also like to share that 27.8% of our administrative hires were persons of color. This leads to our strategies for recruitment. What we'll be sharing with you in our review are successes and what we believe are continued opportunities. Our students all come from various socioeconomic, religious, cultural, and many other diverse backgrounds. We celebrate that diversity within our district, and as a district, diversity represents one of the 3 areas we are committed to achieving for all of our students, the other 2 being equity and inclusion. The reference to the board-adopted equity belief statement serves as a guide towards our commitment to support the social, emotional wellness, and academic achievement of all of our students. It's important that we have a workforce that also reflects this diversity. For our purposes in this presentation, we're focusing on the category of race and ethnicity in our workforce. We recognize that a multifaceted approach is necessary to increase overall diversity in our workforce. The data trends continue to show an overall decrease in the number of candidates not only entering the profession, but in also completing the programs. So we continue to look at ways to both attract new candidates and create our own. We're intentional in our hiring process, and this means that we're posting earlier with aggressive interview timelines while keeping a critical eye towards candidates who will thrive in our diverse setting. We're identifying candidates that meet our students' needs and excel in an ability to make connections in and outside of the classroom. We've implemented systemic changes, including every school has an interview team that is itself diverse to allow for multiple viewpoints. We also have guided our hiring teams to include equity and inclusion questions at every round of the interview process and provide training to the teams to look for candidates that are the best fit for the school and for our students. We also have plans to more systemically review our retention practices. Mentoring is a key component of our retention strategy, and one aspect of that mentoring comes in the form of our affinity groups. These groups connect around common beliefs, goals, interests, and values. For example, we have Latinx educators, men who teach, LGBTQ+ pride and allyship groups. Those are just a few. We're also exploring stay survey options to identify what we're doing well and what we can implement to create opportunities for growth and advancement. We're also implementing strategies to reach out and support future educators as part of our recruitment process. This includes university outreach, on-site support through networking events, hosting open houses, and our very own Grow Your Own Teacher program. We connected with over 270 candidates at scheduled job fairs. We successfully ran a networking event for student teachers, which had over 60 participants, and we shared with them our vision and current opportunities. They had their resumes reviewed. We were able to ask candid questions and practiced interviewing. The feedback we received was overwhelmingly positive, and this allowed us to make connections early. We also recognize that more districts from Illinois are expanding their reach outside the state because of the decreasing numbers in the pipeline, and we experience direct competition from local districts in some of these spaces for the first time. We continue to build on our relationships with HBCUs and visited 2 in the spring. We're grateful to the university partners and leaders who helped support us in these recruitment efforts. So whether our recruitment took us places near or far, we're always excited when familiar faces visit us at these events. Additionally, the work that we've done and the journey we continue to travel has been recognized. The HR administrative team has been selected to present at multiple national conferences for both HR administrators and superintendents. As I mentioned earlier, we look forward to supporting our staff by being more visible in schools. This directly supports Priority 2, Objective 2, Strategy 2 of the strategic plan. Our theme is time savers, and our goal is to find efficiencies and allow staff more opportunities for engagement with students and less on HR-related matters. we're looking forward to being in a school near you. The final slide identifies our own challenges and opportunities and what we hope to achieve over the coming year. Our recruitment plan has a fresh set of eyes on it. Sharon Ruff, our new HR director, will be reviewing and updating it and already has some great ideas for outreach. We begin work on our portrait of a teacher and will examine further our retention strategies, of which I already mentioned a stay survey will be explored. We'll also examine ways to find efficiencies in our processes to better support staff so they can spend time supporting students. Thank you very much, and if you have any questions, we'll take those.
Thank you. Mr. Rising.
I think I was ready. Okay, slide 4 and 5. I just wanted,
Oh, wait, okay, your suggestion. Does our student board have any
Oh,
questions
yes.
or comments first?
Yeah, first
Thank you, Mr. Krubus.
We have an empty chair right here.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Share your name, please.
My name is Eric Prakash. I'm currently a senior at Waubonsie Valley High School. And I'd like to start off by saying that the initiatives that you will present today were incredible and extremely important, such as the Teacher of Tomorrow program. It was very impressive how eager students were to actually involve themselves within the teaching process, and I'm sure that was due in large part to the program itself. And also the increased target on diversity was also crucial for our district, and I thank you for your focus on bettering our teachers and improving the quality of our district and education overall. However, I did have a question regarding the hiring process. I wanted to ask whether student feedback from current or previous place of education are taken into consideration for the hiring or tenure process, such as student performance, reports, or even recommendations from both students and parents.
Could you repeat your question just one more time?
Yeah. So I want to ask whether student feedback from current or previous places of education, such as reports, student performance itself, or recommendations from students and parents are taken into consideration in the hiring or the tenure process for staff.
Yeah, at this point, not. No.
All right, thank you.
Were there any other board members' questions, or that was representative of all the group? Victoria, okay.
Hi, my name is Victoria Vassal. I'm a senior at Neuqua Valley. I've been working with Eric and the board this year. I was wondering if it's possible that the Grow Your Own Teachers program could be a way for us to get student input just on teacher performance.
We would certainly use feedback from the Grow Your Own Teacher program. The purpose of that program is to help students identify if this is a career path for them. So we'll continue to use feedback from students to help solidify and grow that program.
I understand. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay. All right. I'll go back to Mr. Rising.
it's hard to follow our students' questions, they're so good. Okay, slide 4 and 5. First of all, extremely happy to see this, that retention is getting back to where we were as a district. And also extremely happy and pleased, and I think we all were, that our district ranked the 34th best place to work by Forbes in the state of Illinois out of all companies, and no other school district was in the top 50. I did a little research, and you know, I think something that at least I've heard historically about our district is we don't necessarily pay the best, if I'm being honest. We are middle of the road to our comparable districts about. But I'm extremely pleased that teachers keep coming back to work for us that have left. In fact, at the new teacher orientation just this year, I had a teacher come up to me and said, "Mark, do you remember me?" And I'm like, no clue. It was a teacher that left us for a neighboring district, came back, high school teacher, not only came back, but brought a teacher with her from that neighboring district to our district. In my research that I did, and this was kind of aligned with the Illinois Association of Regional Superintendents, they looked at the top things to understand, and they surveyed over 3,500 current and former educators in Illinois. Number one is salary, obviously. It comes as no surprise. That's something that we hear in the national teacher shortage. But number two, and I think speaks to slide 4 and 5, is that the biggest factor that motivates educators to leave and to stay is school leadership. Only 1/3 of former educators felt supported by school leadership, compared to 2/3 of current educators. So school leadership clearly plays a critical role in promoting working conditions and retaining teachers. I can provide this for you. It was very interesting. But I think it speaks to our district because I think as a board, as a community, as a superintendents, current and past, and our building leaders, and we can always do a better job, but I think we try to express to our teachers as best as possible that they're valued and welcomed and their ideas count and matter. So I just wanted to bring that up on slide 4 and 5. Slide 9, the administrators portion. Is it true, Carrie Beth, we're still, I went back and looked at the latest Illinois report card, but that's still back from 2020. And back then we had one administrator for every 308 students. And I went to look at a couple of our top comparable districts, and they have one administrator for every about 155 to 170 students. So I know we maybe have dropped a little to maybe one administrator to every 300 instead of 308 students, but are we still one of the leanest districts as far as administrator goes in the state? Because I remember at one time we were like 840 out of 850 districts or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know our exact ratio, and I don't know where we fall on that list, but we are very lean.
Okay.
We do a lot with the resources that we have, and to your point about retention of staff with solid leaders, I think we continue to have a great pool of administrators, and like I said, we're very excited that we had 18 new administrators that were welcomed to the district that provided solid support for those returning staff and then the new teachers that joined us this year.
And just on that same point with the administrators, if I could just, because I know in the community that sounds really good. They, you know, that's a big buzzword is, oh, administrators, you know. I just wanted to have Dr. Talley, maybe in one sentence or two sentences, say, because I've learned this from Dr. Talley of how important a role an administrator can be to do some work that we need to as a district. And when we don't have some of those administrators, a lot of that work can't flow downhill into the schools. I don't know if you want to just one or two sentences how important
You're
it is.
only going to give me two?
Well,
but no. So to your original question, when you think about it, our elementary schools have one administrator, and that's the principal. The student service coordinator is not an administrator. You do not have to have an administrative license to be an administrator. And so comparable districts, would have an assistant principal in the elementary school. So yes, we are one of the we are more lean with our administration than many other districts, and we've seen that before when we look at the evidence-based funding as well. To your question about the role of an administrator, when you think about it at the elementary level, in the summertime, principals are spending a lot of time with classroom assignments. Who's going to be in which classrooms? And so the principal is doing that by him or herself because the student service coordinators, they're not administrators and they only work 10 months out of the year. The evaluations that are done, the observations that are done for the teachers, it's done by the administrators. And so having those people in place allow you to provide very powerful, robust feedback to the teachers to ensure that our programming is working correctly. And so administrators play a vital role in a school. They provide role models to students. They support teachers. They are there to respond to parents. It's a vital role that they play.
And then just one last point, slide 18, 19. This goes to the teacher shortage. You know, and I know in our district, we have some hard to fill positions, but you know, the latest numbers I've been seeing nationwide is they can make a point that we're over 500,000 teachers short for education, public education in our country. And that's continuing to grow. I think just 8 or 10 years ago it was 250, and now it's already doubled. That same study that the Illinois Association of Regional Superintendents did, 79% of schools in the state of Illinois said they have a teacher shortage, 79%. And 93% said that it's worse than it was last year. This is a main concern of mine. Thankfully, we're not seeing it as bad as some rural districts and some urban districts that can't get math teachers, that can't get science teachers, that can't get elective teachers, that can't get foreign language teachers. And in some of those cases, they're having to not offer those courses. So I think as a community, we need to start building up education and how important it is. And I just heard yesterday, districts in Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, I think now it's even Florida, they're going to 4-day school weeks because they can't get teachers. So unless we change our narrative as a country of how important educators are, I fear this is only going to get worse, and frankly, I'm not sure what the solution is, but I'm thankful that we're doing so many great things to encourage and shed light on how important teachers are. So thank you.
Ms. Deming?
Thank you so much for the presentation. Actually, following up on Board Member Rising's question and discussion on the challenges of teachers, you gave the information on our district and or overall in Illinois. Do we have, and I did not ask this earlier, so if you don't have it and need to share later, do we have an idea of what we look like as far in our district for unfilled, and we do such a great job when those positions aren't. Can you share a little bit about how we handle those situations where we don't have particular positions filled?
So where we have current vacancies, what are we doing to support those vacancies? In some cases, we have had to contract out a position. This is in particular the psychologist and the mental health social work positions where we were unable to find candidates. We have done our best to recruit and encourage those in our community through our schools to apply for positions, especially teaching assistants. Like I said, that's the position with the most number of vacancies. So encouraging our own community members, local colleges and universities, students who may want to participate in a part-time position. Maybe they can't commit fully, but a part-time position. And just looking at other ways to increase the pool to fill some of these hard-to-fill positions. In many cases, our schools are doing the best that they can without those positions being filled. In some cases, that means caseloads and workloads are shifting a little bit in order to support the students as best we can.
Have we had any success, like you've done such a great job with Grow Your Own and seeing students that grew up here return. Have we had an opportunity to have any success with teachers that are here, especially those that are more recently graduated, go back with you when you go to visit any of the schools where you're recruiting? Does that work well?
It does. We, this past year, when we visited ISU, we brought a current teacher with us who was a relatively recent grad from ISU, and it was just really neat to see her connect with the students there and bring a level of enthusiasm that we wish we had, which she did such a phenomenal job doing. It was a draw for the students there to come and talk to someone that was closer to their age and had the experiences that they had. So it was a good experience for us as well, and we'll probably continue to do that, and even more of the schools that we attend.
That would be great, especially I would say when we look at some of the schools that you going on recruiting, especially the ones that aren't right here, encouraging them to come to our location or to our state if you're looking at locations outside of the state that you're doing some recruiting with. And then what do we look like from a diversity standpoint with Grow Your Own? We saw a lot of gender-wise. Do we have, is it across the board gender-wise as far as male students being interested in teaching as well?
So it is, as the data reflect in actual programs, the interest is more predominantly with our females, but we do have a pretty significant number of males that participate in the high school program. Not as many at the middle school level, but at the high school level we do have a good number of male students that participate in the program. And I think, they have also surprised themselves with how much they've enjoyed the program and what they've learned from it. Last year we shared a video of testimonials from our high school students, and just the experiences that they were getting, I think, really surprised them and encouraged them to continue with the program.
The signing day last spring was very moving, and I so appreciated that. I hope you will consider doing that again here for us in the spring, because I thought it was very powerful.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Fosdick.
Thank you for the presentation. My only real question is, does our Grow Your Own Teachers program currently include any opportunity for students to learn about becoming a school counselor or a social worker? Since you mentioned some of those huge missing workers in that place.
Yeah, so at the middle school level, we have quarterly, last year I think it was just twice a year, virtual meeting in which we brought in educators from different areas, including support services, and allowed them to share why they chose education as a career path and what it is that they do, to give the middle school students some exposure to those areas. At the high school level, in their observations, they have the ability to choose where they would like to go, and so those who were interested in counseling, social work, and speech, language, and pathology, those assignments were set up, and they got to actually observe and shadow with those individual psychologists as well. So yes, those who expressed an interest got the opportunity to do that. So hopefully that will continue their interest in that area and can continue the education program with that.
All right, so Grow Your Own Teachers is kind of a pseudonym for grow your own work in our school. somewhere there.
educators,
Be
yeah.
an educator somewhere. I love it. I love that that's part of the program already. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Karubas.
Thank you for the presentation. Very thorough. 32 slides on this. A lot of data, which is great. One observation I had was looking, at slide 11. No, not 11. Look at some of the demographic slides, which would be on, well, it's misnumbered a little bit. 21. Yeah. So you're looking at some of the demographics of who's enrolling and who's completing. Predominantly female, predominantly white. Looking at, on the next slide, 22, the demographics of who's enrolling, with 4% being Asian. And then moving to the demographics on slide 24 of our students, it's virtually mathematically impossible that our teacher force will represent our student population for the foreseeable future. So I think, although we talk about the diversity and the importance of that, we need to make sure the conversation is beyond that, because the challenge is we're just not going to win that battle. So we might move the needle a little bit, but the focus is going to be on making sure that there's some training and supports. And you were mentioning a little bit of that with the affinity groups and stuff. So I think, the focus, I think, moves away at least from my perspective, on trying to balance that, because it's just math is telling us we can't do it. Doesn't mean we don't try, doesn't mean we try to, move it. And I hear some of that with our percentage growth. But it's just mathematically we're not going to do it. So we got to think of other ways to still get where we want to as a goal. Any comments on that?
Well, what I'm very excited about is the diversity in our students in the Grow Your Own Teacher program, and the level of excitement that they're showing towards the profession. And our goal has always been to hire back our students so that we're more reflective of those in our classrooms. So I'm excited by that. Right now, yeah, the data shows us that maybe we're not there, or it's maybe not possible, but I am encouraged by the pipeline that we're creating in our own student program.
Perfect. On slide 29, the recruiting events. I was here when we just started some of our recruiting events at different places. And I think we also need to reflect on if some of these programs are working or how we can improve them. So what is the return on our investment on some of those? And maybe we need to be going deeper in some other areas, or rethink it so that we're getting results, because just going to events, we need to draw the line and connect the dots so that we've got hires out of this. So I would just encourage you to reflect and make sure that there's a return on the investment as we go to these important events, and make sure that that we go, how we go, is beneficial to what we're doing and trying to do, which is hire and retain teachers.
I appreciate your comments, and this is something that we do regularly to ensure that we are being efficient with our funds, and exactly that. Is there a return on an investment for where we're going? there is logic to where we go to and why we choose where we go to. In some cases, there are more candidates that we hire from some of these events than others. In some cases, we're at a very nascent stage of building relationships with some of these universities, and we need to continue to go in order to be able to see some return on investment. We need a little bit of time to be able to build that. We also understand that the pipeline is small, and if we're not out there at a number of different colleges and universities, then we're missing out on candidates that others may be hiring. So yes, I appreciate that, and we do continue to look at this every year. That is exactly what Sharon will be doing over the course of the next year, is reviewing what we've done in the past and determining what will be best in the future.
Thanks, Sharon.
Ms. Jane?
Thank you. And my favorite slide was the video, slide number 16. Gosh, our students are so articulate, as we see in our representatives here today too. It's just so exciting to see them excited about something, and so early on. Were all of those students middle school students? Yeah. And when did we start the middle school programming for Grow Your Own?
So we're also in the third year. It's
The
the
third
same.
year.
Mhm.
That's really remarkable for them to even be thinking about it so early on. I think it goes along with so many of our objectives with career readiness and how we want to prepare our students for the postgraduate world. So that was remarkable. I just wanted to say, I think most of the questions were asked. As hard as recruiting seems right now, that effort goes to waste unless we're able to retain them, which I so applaud those beginning slides, as well as, what was this slide here? Slide number 25. As we continue to hire our new faculty and staff, but with the goal of trying to diversify. So it's particularly with our diverse teachers and staff, paying close attention to ensuring that we retain them and making sure that we're creating that culture and environment where they can grow and they feel part of the community. I think that is so essential, and I think that is reflected in many of the statistics and data that you shared with us today. So I just don't want that message to be lost in our discussion of recruitment, because that effort does go to waste without them sticking around. The other comment I had, and I should have written this down, oh yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge slide 2 for a second and just say that with my calculations, right, like about a sixth of our staff, or our service awards, a sixth of our employees were provided an award, a milestone award, right? Mm-hmm. That's, again, back to the retention point. That's remarkable. And then the other remarkable stat that I often share with the parent community is that I believe, what was the slide where over half of our new hires have a master's or plus? Yeah, slide number 11. Another remarkable data point that I share with the community. So it's not just filling positions, but it's the quality of educators we're bringing to this district, and we are able to retain despite the shortage that is so remarkable. Oh, I remember the other question I was going to ask. Do our strategies change, or are they influenced by our birth rate projections and decline in enrollment projections for students? Does that have any, is that connected in any way?
So are you asking as we're forecasting enrollment over the coming
years?
Are we
Yeah.
looking at our staffing projections for that? Yes, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Every year we examine our staffing for each school year, and we take into consideration those that are in the pipeline, known exits that we're anticipating. We have a good sense of what is typical turnover for an annual year, and then what our needs are in those classrooms, and we actually meet with each of the different levels and very closely go through their staffing with them. So we will continue to keep a focus on future years and projections as we're anticipating, but we do that currently.
Great, thank you.
So I know we're going to have an enrollment report, like in the upcoming months, right? Aren't we?
Yeah, we'll be looking at our enrollment just to see where it plays in with regards to the projections.
Right. And last, I was looking at our enrollment this year versus last year. I know it's not complete, but we were about even, right? But on top of that, we did add new staff this year, so that's an important thing for our community to understand. And you went through the list of where those staff were placed, and it was very critical positions to help our students. So thank you for that. On slide 19, we talked about a typical year of changeover or whatever in our district. So what was the projection like going forward? Like typically we have 45 teacher retirees. What's the projection?
That's about the same.
Okay.
The typical is what we're anticipating. We have a 3-year projection, as our teachers typically give us 3 years notice. So we kind of know what's coming, and we refer to that as the pipeline as well. That's about.
Is that up from a few years ago? It seemed like we were going to go through this bubble because we built all these schools at the same time, and then we hired all the staff to be in those schools. So it's like, is 45 what we've been typically experiencing for a long time, or is this like an upswing?
No, it's about typical.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about typical.
Yeah. Also, I know I recently subbed as a TA in a couple classes, so I know how incredibly important those rules are to supporting the teachers and the students, and especially in a larger class, that you help handle some of the needs from, different student groups in the classroom. I don't think a lot of people know what the qualifications, other than loving to work with students and children, would be for being a TA in our district. Is there any requirements that they have to, and a background check too?
Yeah, so there is a licensure requirement through the Illinois State Board of Education that our teaching assistants have. There are several options available, and so those that may be interested, we would encourage to reach out to us so that we could have a conversation to kind of understand what their situation is, so that we can best advise them which license to pursue. Apart from that, yes, just experience working with students or an interest in working with students would be what we are looking for.
Yeah, I imagine they have to take the online classes for whatever, bloodborne pathogens and all that kind of stuff, yeah. But the licensure isn't like a 6-month program or anything. Like when I got a license to be a substitute, it was pretty straightforward, filling out some information. Is that the same with TAs?
So again, it depends. There are several options available for licensure for a TA. So the minimum is 60 semester hours of college credit, or there is an exam that an individual could take to qualify for the license. So that's just one option.
Okay, so there is a chunk of like higher level education they have to complete to be a TA.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting to know. I also was reflecting on Mr. Rising's comment about the need to value our educators and make this a much more desirable profession. And I think we're doing a great job with Grow Your Own, and it's impressive to see 25 former students come back this year and become educators in our district. Previously, I worked for a company that was based in Finland, so I got to hear a lot about the Finnish and their schools and their way they teach their students. And if you look at world rankings, they tend to be some of the highest ranked schools in the world. And one thing that they always told me is teachers in Finland, to be a teacher was more difficult than to be a doctor. So it's like it's a highly regarded, highly paid profession. I'm not saying we could ever get there here, but it's just striking how different it is when you look at different cultural areas and how this profession is taught. And I completely agree with the comments about this needs to be a much more valued and treasured role that everyone should love and appreciate. So, but that was it. Do you have a comment?
President Donahue, I had one question that I'm just following up on the TA. I meant to ask, where do we stand as far as substitutes? And can you just remind the community on the substitute requirement, because it's not extensive, but can you, how do we stand on substitutes right now?
So again, we're always looking to add more individuals to our sub list. The state does require licensure for that position as well. It's very similar to the TA position, and there are multiple licenses available for those who are interested in becoming a sub. So again, those who are interested, we have the positions posted on the website, which detail all of the requirements and responsibilities of the position. We would strongly encourage anyone who might be interested to go to the website and apply for the position, or at least look at it, and or reach out to us so that we can have a conversation.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you
you
for the work you do.
Thank you.
All right. Our last item is legislative advocacy and Board of Education update. And I have a couple items here. I think Ms. Fosdick, do you have a couple things to say?
So this is my first year in this position, so I thank the board for their patience with me as I learn how to do this. We did all receive an email on September 22nd from IASB that included the Resolutions Committee report for this year. As in previous years, we'll go over that in a board meeting. The next one will be October 16th. So if you please read over the Resolutions Committee report and let me know if you have questions before that board meeting so that I could bring them to IASB if need be. Before then, that would be great. We will vote on our position on the resolutions at the November 6th board meeting. I think that's it.
Anyone else have any before I share my item? No? Okay. I attended the LEN session. Dr. Talley was there, Mr. Shipley. It was a good session. They brought in local legislators to sit in small groups, but ahead of time, LEN did share the 4 priorities that they had for this coming year, and I thought I would share those. The first was, and these are things they're pursuing legislation on, use of the multifunctional bus, the changes so that we can use it more flexibly. I'm not sure all what that would include, but they talked about a second priority was polling places, trying to get those out of our schools unless there's no alternative, and giving more of a voice to the school districts on whether or not a school could be used as a polling place. The next one was a dual credit and teacher credentials around dual credit. This is a big topic that seemed to generate a lot of interest, and I know we're interested in having more capability of our students earning dual credits. So that is something they're picking up and looking at. And then the last one was related to English language and dual language, allocation of resources, the exit criteria, a survey that they asked parents to take when a student might have language deficiencies, and a number of other things. So those were like the 4 top areas that I heard them discuss as priorities.
President Donahue, I'm really happy to hear about the dual credit focus from Lind. Did they talk about and discuss talking with higher education institutions in order to encourage them to want to partner with us?
Yes, and they talked about some of the frustration too with teachers getting certified by the higher level education so that they could teach a class that would be honored by the college.
It's going to all go back to staffing. It's what it's all going to go back to, and it's going to be difficult.
Well, I will share that I work for a community college up north, and we are seeing this last graduation, there were over 80 students who walked away with their college diploma, community college diploma, before they walked away with their high school graduation. So there are places where and they're going off to U of I, Penn. So it would be wonderful to see our students at least have the opportunity for them to expand that across the state. So
What they're trying to do is make it more uniform by the way in which teachers are approved to be the dual credit teacher. Right now, it varies from school, college to college, and therefore there are some places it may be easier for the high school teacher to be approved, and in some places it's more difficult. And so it was brought up, for example, by one of the superintendents at the meeting, how a number of high school students are getting their associate's degree in another district in another part of the state. And so how do we make this more uniform across the state of Illinois?
We also sat in small groups with a couple legislators and shared our issues, our concerns, or whatever. And of course, our topic also, we brought up funding and how that's being handled in the state and some of our concerns. We also celebrated our work with mental health, but said that we wanted more support in that area. So I thought it was a very productive meeting and worth getting there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, any other questions? Nope. All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I have a second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.